Hello, everyone, and welcome to IIASA, the International Institute for Applied Systems Analysis. My name is Fabian Wagner, and I'm the Dean for Capacity Development and Academic Training. And my purpose here is really to introduce you to the Institute, what it does, and then I'll briefly give you an overview of the capacity development activities here at IIASA. So, to start quickly, our purpose really is to do independent policy-oriented research on what we call interconnected global challenges of environmental or economic, technological or social change. Now, that's a mouthful. So we are basically addressing the challenges of modern societies. And we're doing this by using what we call applied systems analysis. We're using this method to understand risks and opportunities at all scales, at the global scale, but also at the local scales. And our purpose really is to work with science to offer policy insights. We're doing research not just for research's sake. We don't do basic research, but our purpose is to provide decision makers, in particular policymakers, the best scientific evidence to base their decisions on. We involve, of course, in our analysis stakeholders from all walks of life. And so this is not just about a scientific analysis, but it is about getting perspectives from people in different pockets of society. We are based in Austria. We are based in Luxembourg, which is a small village close to Vienna. But we have member organizations in many different countries. Here, each dot represents a country in which we have representatives in member organizations. We have a large network that spreads across the world, not just in these countries that are depicted here, but many more. We have about 500 associated research, not all of them full-time. Some of them are here on the ground. Some of them are visiting only during particular times of the year. So just to give you an idea of what the order of magnitude of the operation is. We have a long-standing history of academic excellence. Here's a list of famous academic not collaborators, but actually people who have been here at IIASA and have worked here. Many Nobel Prize winners among them. But again, just to show you the sort of the level of excellence. This is not just a place in the sticks, but it is really a place of excellence. What we do very well as well is not just to do the scientific assessment, as I've said, but the whole institute was founded as a place of science diplomacy, if you like, by definition, because back in the days, in the early 1970s, the Cold War between East and West was at its height, and they've decided to found this place, to build a bridge, to give a space where scientists from both sides of the divide could meet, and by that offer additional channels of communication between parties that didn't like each other very much. And that, of course, that idea is still relevant and maybe relevant more than ever in today's time. So we build bridges not just by doing the work, but actually working together on common problems that affect anyone in the world, not just the West or the East or the South or the North. And so, again, we are bringing together communities from different countries, from different cultures, and we think that the best way to attack these is by working together. So to give you an idea, systems analysis is quite a complex concept. But the idea, it's a very simple idea that is behind it. We're thinking about systems. That's the first thing, right? And systems are interconnected entities that work together, that interact, that may have a particular outcome and purpose. And these systems work together, but they can be analyzed. They can be taken apart into its subcomponents, and we can understand these subcomponents. On the other hand, once we understand subcomponents, topics, sectors, then systems analysis allows us to bring them back together and see their interconnections. And that's what this picture is trying to get across when we look at individual, if you like, disciplines or themes or sectors of knowledge, let's say the economy or health or the food system. That's all very well to analyze them. But if you really want to address questions like food security or energy security or how to improve people's health, you have to see that kind of subsystem also in the context of a bigger system that totally makes sense. So health can only be seen in the context of, let's say, social governance, in terms of economics, in terms of energy, in terms of the environment, and so on. And IIASA is in the middle of things, and as I said earlier, the applied systems analysis, not just systems analysis in the sense of analyzing things, but applied systems analysis is then the pinnacle in the sense that we are aiming to support decision makers to take all these interconnections into account. Now, not each of these projects, not each of the projects that we're doing is as interconnected as is suggested here, but in principle, we have tools that link different sectors, different knowledge domains to think about synergies and trade-offs between objectives in different fields. Good. After having talked a little bit about capacity development, about IIASA in general, let me just talk about the capacity development opportunities here. IIASA, one of our flagship programs here is the so-called YSSP, the Young Scientist Summer Program. This is a 3-month research program. It's not a summer school, but people come here as PhD students to work on a research project. They stay here in Luxembourg for 3 months during the northern summer. It's open to all nationalities, and then each of these participants works on a separate research project with some senior scientists here at IIASA, with the goal of producing enough output to write a paper by the end of the summer. This project is defined by the applicant. So this is not given from us, but what the applicant need to do, what you as an applicant need to do, is to develop a research proposal. We give guidance on that on our webpage on how to do that. Develop a research proposal that is of interest to you, that furthers your interests, your research agenda, but also is of interest to IIASA and offers synergies to our research program. And then jointly, you work on this project. Of course, you're in the lead and you get mentorship, very intense mentorship throughout the summer. There is a scientific program associated with this summer program, and then there's a social program. And at the end of the summer, you write this paper, and the best 1 to 3 papers receive an award to actually then come back. For many people who have come through this program through the years, they sort of go back and they tell us that this has been many tell us that this has been the most rewarding experience doing their PhD, because it involves a lot of intense mentorship. It involves a lot of meeting with your peers, with 50 other people from all over the place who are not working exactly on the same thing, but they're also thinking about interrelated systems analysis questions. And some people even say this has been the best time of their lives, having been here at IIASA. There's a number of alumni that have come through the program. I think more than 2,500 over the past 50 years. Well, more than 2,000 over the last 50 years, and many of them have ended up in prestigious positions. Hopefully, also as a result of having come through IISP. So again, I've already mentioned the sort of the basic setup. And the most important thing at this stage is that there's a deadline coming up on the 12th of January. We have an application portal and a web page. We're preparing webinars, but we also have written a quite detailed guide on what makes an application successful or fail. So please have a look at this material if you're interested in applying. But the IISP is not the only program. We also have a number of summer schools on offer. We can at the moment just look back at what we did in 2025, where we did a summer school on systems modeling and a summer school on land use modeling, as well as a training workshop on demographic analysis. In 2026, this program will essentially be continued. We haven't fixed any of the dates yet, really, but these three schools will continue into the future. We are also planning to run a 1-week summer school on science to policy with the University of Vienna. This will happen in early July 2026. And again, we need to publish the announcement and give you the details as they get fixed. We're also planning 2 more activities. Both of them are a little bit still in the making. One on systems and health and one on urban systems. Again, details to be confirmed. Just a few words about the summer school on systems modeling. We have in the past, we've designed it in such a way that it's a 2-week program. It's aimed at largely master students, PhD students, but we also take sometimes we have undergraduates in this course as well, very, very precocious ones. We also have postdocs. We also have professionals who come into this program as well. What we're aiming for is a very diverse mix of people who we are teaching modeling, understanding, and modeling methodologies to. It sort of runs in 3 phases. The first phase is sort of a general overview that everybody attends. It's basically 2 days where you get sort of an overview of systems modeling methods and a general introduction on why we're modeling at all, and so on and so forth. And then there's a second phase running over 3 days where you can choose elective courses on specific topics that you want to go into a little bit more deeply during a 1-day workshop each. So this runs for 3 days. And then we're moving into week 2. And in week 2, what we are expecting is that participants self-organize in research teams and spend then a week in essentially laying out a modeling framework for a self-chosen subject, for a self-chosen challenge that they would like to address. And we found that this is the most intense and the most rewarding phase of the school, in the sense that people from different cultures, from different backgrounds come together. They need to self-organize. They need to define research questions. They need to choose methodologies and data. They need to work together. And so what we're teaching here, or what is being learned here, is not just the straightforward modeling technology, a piece of coding or something like that, but rather what we're focusing on is this international collaboration, working together in a team that you don't know about with different backgrounds, and getting to grips with that. That is a skill that is very, very important in today's world, and yet is very difficult to find a place to learn this. And I believe that here at IIASA, this is one of those places where you can acquire such skills. So here again, deadline for this particular activity will likely be in February 2006. So please watch this space, watch our webpage to see the latest developments. And then we have here at IIASA also postdoctoral arrangements, international collaborations with individual institutions and member organizations. Here at IIASA, we have a number of successful past participants. I usually point out some of them. Some of them have been immensely successful. Here, Chris Smith from the UK spent 3 years with us, and he wrote 30 research papers while he was here. Others went straight from the postdoc program into a full professorship. So again, it's very prestigious, very competitive, but it's also a very, very exciting opportunity for early career research to spend that 1 year at IIASA. So again, we have these bilateral programs, but we also have, we're giving support to applicants who are applying through this very prestigious Marie Sklodowska-Curie action by the EU. This is a postdoc program. It's very prestigious, very well funded. And applicants, again, define their own research, make an application, put IIASA as the hosting institutions, and then we support these candidates by offering them a little bit of training, by looking over their applications, and so on and so forth. And as a result, we found that typically the applications that come through IIASA are typically much more successful in this very, very competitive process. So again, if you're interested in postdocs, that's something that you may want to look into. Okay, and then finally, for the more senior people among you, you may want to consider spending your sabbatical here at IIASA. We're very open to people from all over the world to spend the sabbatical here. It's exciting. Obviously, sabbatical is always a good thing, but it's exciting at IIASA because the chance that you can work with new colleagues in a very collaborative, in a very open, in a very international environment is very high. So people get really excited when they come to IIASA, and they have obviously wonderful ideas to progress, but they also spend a lot of time just networking, because again, IIASA is such a vibrant and international and exciting environment to spend your time in. Here's some examples of people who have spent time at IIASA from different places. And again, these are just some examples. We have many more that could be cited. Good. And that brings me to the end of this short presentation. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you got inspired, and I hope that many of you will apply to one of our programs into the future. Thank you very much.